So today we'll start with linear programming, and if you download the PDF from this lesson, you have your notes, and we'll quickly just look at them. So the first thing is that when we have a smaller than or a larger than, our number that we use, for example the 1 and the 5, is not included, which means everything less than 1 in the first one's case and everything more than 5 in the second one's case. So what is also important is that you know how your linear equations can be drawn. So you will start out with your timeline, and the first one we have 1 is less than x. So we will have, for example, a 2, a 1, a 0, and a negative 1. And 1 is less than x. So x will go to the larger side. And we will have an open circle above 1, which indicates a less than, or that the number is not included. And x will go to the larger side, because if you read it from this side, your x is more than 1. So looking at the second one, where 5 is more than x. So 3, 4, 5, it does not matter which numbers you decide to choose. 5 is not included because it's only a more than, so it's an open circle, and x will go to the smaller side because 5 is more than x. So the answer, if we have to find values for x, for example, it will, remember 1 is less than x, so it will be 2, 3, 4, going onwards to the larger side. For the second one, 5 is more than x, which means x should be smaller. That will be 4, 3, 2, 1. And you see that the 1 and the 5 is not included. Then, if we go over to the next one, we have a smaller than or equal to and a larger than or equal to. This means the number is included. So in this case, our number will be included because of the or equal to sign, which means x is less than or equal to 4. So if we draw this on a number line, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever you decide your number should be, x will be less than or equal to 4. So you will have a closed circle, a solid circle, and it will go to the smaller side because x is less than or equal to. And if we need to find the answer to x, we will include 4, 3, 2, 1. Because 4 and or equal to means 4 can also be an answer. For the next one, we have x is larger than or equal to 3. So 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 is included or equal to. So we will have a solid circle and it will go to the larger side because x is more than or equal to 3. So finding answers to x means it can be 3, it can be 4, 5, 6, going on. That one will also go on. So that's the difference between larger than or equal to and smaller than or equal to. Then, just quickly looking at double inequalities, where we have two inequalities in one, what is important that you should remember is you will first need to solve the one inequality and then you will solve the second inequality separately and you will have a range of answers. Then another thing that is also important to remember with double or with any inequality is if you divide by a negative, your inequality will swap. So if, for example, you have negative 3x is larger than 3, you will divide by negative 3 on both sides, which means it will become x is less than negative 1. So if you divide by a negative, your inequality will swap. Divide by a negative and you can see your inequality. So grade 12s, here is some steps that you can use when you do your homework. First of all, you will start with writing your inequality. That, for example, will look like that, or it will only be one inequality. You will draw your graph, except if the question otherwise states you will need to shade the unwanted region, and then you can find your values depending on what your question asks. Grade 12s, I want you to open your mathematics textbook on page 189. Page 189, and I want you to do student assessment number 1. If you are done doing student assessment 1, you can play the video again and you can mark your work from the video. So I am continuing marking, you are doing your work and then marking. So for number 1, they ask you to solve the following inequalities, and we work with 17 plus 5x is less than or equal to 42. Solving them, we need to take all our like terms to one side, so we are left with 5x is less than or equal to 42 minus 17. The positive 17 becomes a minus 17. And 5x will be less than or equal to 25. Divide by 5 on both sides. X is less than or equal to 5. Number B, 3 is more than or equal to y divided by 3 plus 2. First of all, get out your fraction, so we will multiply all of them by 3. What you do with 1, you must do with all of them. So these two will cancel each other out. 3 times 3 is 9, is more than or equal to y plus 6. Again, taking your like terms to one side, 9 minus 6, the positive 6 becomes a negative 6, will be more than or equal to y. And 3 is more than or equal to y. So there we have number 1b. Then for number 2, they ask you to find the range of the values for which number A and number B. So let's look at 2A. 7 is less than 4y minus 1 is less than or equal to 15. Like I said in the previous lesson, we need two inequalities. So there we have our 2 and we will solve them separately. 4y minus 1 and the other one will be 4y minus 1 is less than or equal to 15, and we will solve them separately. So taking your like terms to one side, 7 plus 1 will be less than 4y. Remember, if the negative is taken over, it becomes a positive. 8 is less than 4y. Divide by 4 on both sides to get y, and that will be 2 is less than y. Then your next inequality, taking the negative 1 over, which will become 15 plus 1. The negative taken over becomes a positive. 1 will be less than or equal to 16. Divide by 4 on both sides to get a y alone, and y is less than or equal to 4. Then we can put this into one inequality to show the range. So 2 is less than y is less than or equal to 4. So this is what we want to end up with. For number B, 2b, we have 18 is less than 3, p plus 2 is less than or equal to 30. Again, we have two inequalities, so get your two inequalities. There we have one, and then we will have the other one. And we are left with 18 is less than 3, p plus 2, and the other inequality will be 3, p plus 2 in brackets is less than or equal to 30. So solving 1, we need to multiply out the brackets. 18 is less than 3p plus 6. Now we can solve our inequality by taking our like terms to one side. The positive 6 becomes a negative 6 is less than 3p. 18 minus 6 is 12 is less than 3p. Divide by 3 on both sides to get p alone, and that will be 4 is less than p. The second inequality, also multiplying out your brackets, 3p plus 6 is less than or equal to 30. Like terms to one side, so that we are left with 3p. If the positive 6 is taken over, it becomes a negative 6. Divide by 3 on both sides to get p alone. This will be 3p is less than or equal to 24. Divide by 3 on both sides to get p alone. P is less than or equal to 8. Showing this in one inequality, 4 is less than p is less than or equal to 8. And there we have number 2b. Then we can go over to number 3. They ask you, a garage stocks two kinds of engine oil. They have R cases of regular oil and S cases of super oil. First of all, for number A, you need to find or to express the constraints in inequalities. They have fewer than 10 cases of regular oil in stock. Regular oil is R is less than 10 because they have fewer than 10. So they might have 9 or less. Then they say they also have and regular oil in stock, and between 3 and 9 cases of super oil. So they have more than 3 super oils, but they might have less than 9 cases of super oil. And then they also say they have fewer than 12 cases in stock all together. So their super oil plus their regular oil is less than 12. They have fewer than 12 cases in stock. So now we need to draw this on our graph, and I just added my graph so long so that it does not take as much time. So this will be number B, where we have regular oil and super oil. So we will have super and we will have regular. The most that we have is 12, so that will be our axis, 12. And we need to end with 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Then we can start drawing. R is less than 10. That's the first one. So where's our R? Here is R. So we will have R is less than 10. So we will draw our line. There we have it. This one is R is less than 10. Then we have 3 is less than S is less than 9. So what we will have in this case is 3. So we will find 3, which will be somewhere there in the middle. Remember, we will stop at 12. So that is almost in the middle. And that one will be the part 3 is less than S. Remember, this is your S axis. If you swap your axis, it will be the other way around. Then we need to draw this part. It will be less than 9, so we need to find 9. There we have about 9, so we will draw our line. And then the last one, S plus R will be less than 12. So we cannot go more than 12. So what we will do is we will start with 12. And then we will stop at 12 above. And that means we cannot go more than, we cannot have more than 12. So we will stop there at 12 and we will stop at 12 on the bottom side as well. That was number B. Then they ask you to shading the unwanted regions. So the first one, R is less than 10. So it cannot be more than 10. So we are shading the unwanted. 3 is less than S. So this is unwanted. S is less than 9. So it cannot be more than 9. So that's the top part. And it cannot be more than 12. And that's this part. So there we have our wanted area in the middle, this blank part. Just showing you this in another color. That's our wanted area. Then for number C, they ask you to state 2 possible solutions for the number of each case in stock. So there you can have your own answer as long as oil R and oil S amounts falls within this range. So you can decide, you can, for example, say, R, we have 2 cases. So we can have 2 cases. And S, we have 6 cases. Just make sure that the answer you choose to C fits with your inequalities that you have drawn up. That's number 3. Then we can go over to number 4. And we will start with writing the inequalities. Students from Argentina and England. So in total, there will be between 12 and 20 students in total. So 12 will be the least. That will be Argentina and England students. Between 12 and 20 students. There's our one inequality. Then it says, there are fewer than 10 students from Argentina. So Argentina students is less than 10. Fewer than Argentina students. While the number of England cannot be more than 3 greater than the number from Argentina. So England is less than or equal to, they cannot be more than 3 greater. So Argentina students plus 3. 3 greater than Argentina students. So I am just quickly going to draw my axis. So grade 12, there is about my axis. This will end at 20. Obviously, it will start at 0. and that will also end at 20. So I am just going to move this inequality so that we have a little bit space here. England is less than or equal to Argentina plus 3. So now we can start to draw our inequalities so that we can get our graph. So we need one side for Argentina and one side we need for England students. So I've got England on this side and Argentina on that side. You can swap them. That is no problem. So we will start out with our first inequality, which start out with the easiest one, which is this one. Argentina is less than 10. So find Argentina. Then we need to find 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we have 10. And we will draw our line for 10 up until the start, which is at 20. So there, let me just make this a little bit smaller. So there we have our Argentina is less than 10. Then we will go to the next one. Argentina and England is less, or 12 is less than Argentina and England. So what we will do is we will go to 12 on both axes, and because if we add them together, they will be more than 12, but they will also be more than 20. So we will take our ruler to the 2 20s, and you will draw your line for your inequality. And then there we have Argentina and England is less than 20. The last one is England is less than or equal to Argentina plus 3. So we will start out at 3, where England is at 3 because there will be 3 more than Argentina. We will start out at 3 and we will end at 20. So you will just measure this exactly. Number B, we first have to unshade the region which satisfies. So Argentina is less than 10, so they will be on this side, which means this part is our unwanted area. Then we have England is less than or equal to Argentina plus 3. So this part will be unwanted. Then Argentina and England is less than 12. So it will not be that part, is more than 12, so it will not be that part. And then we have Argentina and England is less than 20, so they will not be more than 20. So to find our, this part will also be shaded. So to find our part that satisfies all of them will be this part here in the center. So yours should also look like that. And then for number C, again, you need to find or to give 2 possible combinations for Argentina and England that will satisfy all 3 conditions. That depends on your answer, depends on your graph. Just make sure, as in the previous one, that it falls within this range, that red part that is not shaded. I have, for example, Argentina as 8. So that means we are going here, Argentina as 8, and then England we will have as 11, which is still in the region. Another one that I have, you might have something else, that's fine, do not worry about that, is Argentina is 6. There, it's still in the region, and then England will be 9, which is also still in the region. So just make sure that when you choose answers, Good day, grade 12s. I want you to open your textbook on page 190, do student assessment 2, and then you can continue with the video and you can mark your work from this video. Student assessment 2, page 190. Let us mark your work. So in number 1A and B, you need to solve the inequalities. So for 1A, you have 5 plus 6x is less than or equal to 47. Taking like terms to the same side, we are left with 6x is less than or equal to 47 minus 5. If the positive 5 is taken over, it becomes a negative 5. So 6x is smaller than or equal to 42. Divide by 6 on both sides to get x is smaller than or equal to 7. Number B, we have 4 is larger than or equal to y plus 3 over 3. First of all, you need to get away the fraction, so you will multiply by 3 on both sides. What you do on the one side, you must do on the other. So 12 is more than or equal to y plus 3. Like terms to the same side, 12 minus 3, if the positive is taken over, it becomes a negative. That's equal, more than or equal to y. So 9 is more than or equal to y. That's number 1. Then we can go to number 2a, where we have the double inequalities again. 3 is larger than or equal to 3p is less than 12. Two inequalities, 1, 2, first identify them and then you solve them. And we can calculate p by dividing on both sides as 1. And then the other inequality, divide by 3 on both sides to get p is less than 4. And then we write this into one inequality. 1 is less than or equal to p is less than 4. Number 2b, we've got 24 is less than 8. X minus 1 in brackets is less than or equal to 48. Again, two inequalities. Remember, the brackets goes together with the one in front. So we are left with 24 is less than 8x minus 1. Multiply out your brackets. So 24 is less than 8x minus 8. Taking your like terms to one side, 24 plus 8, the negative 8 becomes a positive, is less than 8x. So we are left with 32 is less than 8x. Divide by 8 on both sides and you get 4 is less than x. Then we can go to the next inequality. 8x minus 1 is less than or equal to 48. First, multiply out your brackets. So 8x minus 8 is less than or equal to 48. Take your like terms to one side. 8x is less than or equal to 48 plus 8. The negative 8 becomes a positive. So 8x is less than or equal to 56 and x is less than or equal to 7. Putting this into one inequality, you will be left with 4 is less than x is less than or equal to 7. Then we can go to number 3. I already draw my graph, but let's just look at number A, where you need to express the three conditions. A breeder of dogs has X dogs and Y bitches. She has fewer than 4 dogs and more than 2 bitches. She has enough room for a maximum of 8 animals in total. So your equations, your dogs plus your bitches can be less than or equal to 8. So the maximum is 8. Then she has at least 4 dogs. She has fewer than 4 dogs. So she has less than 4 dogs. And she has more than 2 bitches. There we have our inequalities. So you can, for number B, you can draw your graph. This is question number B. That one was number A. I've got bitches on this side, dogs on this side. So let us look at our graph. X plus y is less than or equal to 8. So here is my 8. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. 4, 6, and 8. So what happens is you have X and Y is less than or equal to 8. So you cannot have more than 8 dogs. So this line is the X plus Y is less than or equal to 8. Then X is less than 4. So here is my X, here's 4. So this one is X is less than 4. And then we have Y is more than 2, which is Y is on this side. So there is 2, and we are left with Y is more than 2. It says draw an appropriate pair of axes, leave unshaded the region which satisfy all the inequalities. So X and Y, X and plus Y cannot be more than 8, which means it is this part. It cannot be more than 8. Then we have X is less than 4. So it cannot be more than 4, which is this part. And then we are left with Y is more than 2, so it will not be less than 2. So that's your unwanted region. And you are left with your wanted region. I'm just showing to you which part. There is your wanted region. And then for number C, you state 2 possible combination of dogs and bitches which she can have. So you can have different combinations. I'm going to write mine down for you, but you can have your own answer. For X, I've got 3. For Y, I've got 4. There's my one combination. My other combination is 1 bitch and 6 dogs. So that depends on your graph, and obviously your answer can be anywhere in that range. Then we can go to number 4. Again, I already drawn my graph, but let us look at that. Antonio is employed. He is employed for a maximum of 40 hours. So C plus E, the cars and the electrical goods, is less than or equal to 40, which means he cannot have more than 40 hours. He must spend at least 16 hours mending cars. So 16 hours at least is larger than or equal to 16. So he can only spend 16 hours, at least 16 hours. He must spend at least 5 hours repairing electrical goods. So E should be more than or equal to 5, at least. And then he must spend more than twice as much time mending cars as repairing electrical goods. So C must be more than twice E, electrical goods. And then these graphs we can draw on our axis. So for number B, I've got electrical goods and I've got cars. My axis is 10, 20, 30, and 40. On this side as well, 10, 20, 30, and 40. Obviously, you can have other axes. So the first one, C plus E is less than or equal to 40. So we cannot work more than 40 hours on any one of these. So that is your C plus E is less than or equal to 40 line. Then we have C is more than or equal to 16. So C is more than or equal to 16. That's the line. Then we have E is more than or equal to 5. Here is 5. So E is this line. So this one is E is more than or equal to 5. There we have that one. And then C should be or is more than twice E. So when E is 10, then C will be 20. So this one is C is more than 2E. And there you have your graph. Then we need to shade the unwanted regions. So C plus E is less than 40, which means it cannot be more than 40. So it is this part. It cannot be more than 40. Then C is more than or equal to 16. So more than is to that side. So it cannot be this part because C cannot be less than 16. Then we have E is more than or equal to 5. More than is to that side. So it cannot be this part. This is unwanted. And then the last one, C is more than, I still need one line. So we still need one line here. This one needs to go from 0. So there we have the other line of that one. So when one is 40, the other one can only be 20. So that is this C is more than 2E. And then we need to shade our unwanted regions. Again, C is more than 2E. So that will be this part. Which means for the wanted region, we are left with this little part here in the center. And then you need to, for C again, you need to give two possible combinations which satisfy the above conditions. Again, I'm going to write mine down for you, even though you can have something else. I've got C20, which means E needs to be half of that because of this one. So that's 10. And you can have C as 24 and half. E should be half of that, and it will be 12. Just take note, grade 12s, that when you give these answers, they need to satisfy all your inequalities. So 20 is still in my range, 10 is in my range, 24 somewhere here in my range, 12 somewhere there, still in my range. So just go back to your inequalities and see that they are less than 40, C must be more than 16, E must be more than 5, and C must be twice the amount of E. And you can see that they all satisfy your inequalities. To that part, you will satisfy all your inequalities that you have written at the
Hi there, parents. Do you have primary school kids and want them to get extra quality supplementary lessons to up their grades? Then simply switch to One Africa TV's #LearnOn1, where your kids can get maths, English and science lessons every weekday from 9 to 11 a.m. with repeats from 2 to 4 p.m. And thanks to NMH's MyZone, these lessons are 100% Namibian. There's so much to learn with #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
I like rhinos. I like them very much. Future here in this area is depending on the tourism. The future generation, they can see and they can benefit from their own resources. Animals like rhinos, elephants, the big five, you benefit from them and it must be respected. You are not feeding the rhinos, you are not giving them order, so it's a free business. I take two of my sons, which was little bit 5 years old. They were young guys. So they asked me questions. Why are we here? Why are we sleeping here? I told them this is our resources and this is our future.
My first memory of going with my dad is that I learned new things. As I grow up as a man, I see an opportunity in it. So I decided to look for a job pertaining tourism. So that's when I was employed at Palamba. So I decided to go for tour guide studies. Because I grew up with the tourism industry, the wildlife, the rhinos and everything, to bring that experience to the tourists. You can see the hyena. The biggest changes, I was employed, getting paid, and also I can now support my family.
It's a cultural thing. It's coming a long way. Even if you go to area like Tweefontein, area was a lot of paintings. You will see rhino engravings on the rocks. That is an indication that the interaction between human, especially the local communities and wildlife, is dating back. That intimacy relationship is coming for a long time.
We are right here now at Palambach, and Palambach is one of the big lodges in the heart of the desert. And as you can see, there is Jumbo standing behind me, which shows it's really a tourist area. We do have elephants, lions, but as you can see, the desert is the heart of the rhinos. This is the main breeding area of the rhinos, is what we found here in this desert.
It's the largest free-roaming population of black rhinos that you find outside national parks in the world. It's a population that communities in the northwest have taken responsibility themselves in managing this population with the structures that government has put in place, more specifically the establishment of conservancies.
These people, before independence, they took it upon themselves and decided that wildlife is our heritage, and through history we've been living with wildlife. And having wildlife in your area is like having a garden.
Because of all these animals, we've got the communities that benefit from all this wildlife, and it's like a triangle that fits into each other. And the communities looked after the wildlife doing their own thing, and the communities benefit.
So already there were this intergenerational relationship between mankind and wildlife, and that bond is what our people actually wanted to see continuing.
Very few countries have the wildlife that Namibia has. What is also important is the policies that Namibia has put in place, which also involves communities to be engaged in the management of the wildlife species and also to benefit from the wildlife resources.
Turn conservation into a rural economy, turn conservation into endless opportunities that would actually cater for those young people that have nothing else to do.
If it was not for rhino economy and tourism in this area, it was really difficult for young people to get or find a job.
We are conservation engineers. We make conservation work in an unfenced area, and through that, we want to turn the wildlife into the rural economy that will benefit the rural communities.
So we can see now wildlife is doing very well, the lodges are doing well, and the community is also benefiting. So it takes all three together.
Devastating hit over coronavirus fears. Airline industry is facing its biggest threat to travel since 9/11.
Since March, when COVID-19 hit Namibia, things actually become very difficult. In the first place, all the lodges closed down because of COVID-19. With us, Save the Rhino Trust, we had some donors cutting on their funding. And then we had, in the same time, a poaching case of 2 rhinos that was poaching. We had less boots on the ground, and poachers could actually see. Now it's our chance to go in and do something. So COVID-19 was tough on all of us. Ginger Morning, who is one of our trustees, actually came up with the idea of, why don't we ask you to go to buy some gold for us and make gold bars, and then we sell them for the rhino conservation.
I was fortunate enough to have a chance to have lunch with Clive Johnson, the CEO of B2Gold in Vancouver, Canada. And I looked at Clive and I said, we've got rhinos, you've got gold, let's do something. Let's create a coin or a medallion or a bar using your resource to create a sustainable source of funding for rhino conservation for the future.
There was it. The gold was bought, the bar was made, and I think it was 31st of January that we launched the bars in Windhoek. And suddenly one morning I had an email from my office, from my finance person, saying, these people don't have salaries. So I said, oh, what now? So I picked up my phone and I phoned Mark Law. I said, Mark, I've got this problem. He said, but when we've got the fund already ready for you, you just have to apply, put a proposal in.
1,000 ounces of gold can make an enormous difference to the livelihoods of the communities that live up there. We are, in essence, providing income and providing a livelihood to the communities. In the absence of tourism, especially now with COVID-19, even prior to that, when we had such a bad drought, the communities became even more dependent on the natural economy.
The idea is to make this a fund that will last for the next 25, 30 years, or even longer. And a portion of that will be distributed immediately as needed. And in this case, the COVID-19 crisis necessitated us to distribute funds to pay salaries to help people in the field.
The proceeds of the sales from the gold bars will be going towards responsible NGOs. And we've identified Save the Rhino Trust as the key NGO. And IRDNC, one of the first organizations that was in the Northwest, integrated rural development and nature conservation, so that ultimately the funds go to the communities and various aspects of their war on poaching.
To be able to support those hardworking men and women that are always in the front line between the poachers and the rhinos.
If it was not for B2 Gold and the golden bars, I think by now we should have been in big trouble.
By extracting the gold, you reinvest it in other renewable resources.
The gold that's coming out from the ground is actually protecting the wildlife that's walking on the ground, which is a very good sample for the others.
I wish this was my bar. This is the 500 gram gold bar. So you'll see on this side you've got the Etindeka Mountains and you've got the mother rhino with her calf. And then on the reverse side we've got the serial number, you've got the Rand refinery stamp, which is very important. Anywhere in the world people will recognize the stamp and they will know that this bar contains 99.99% gold.
It is gorgeous.
We wanted to make a biggest contribution. And at Ballowwood we see that as a way of giving back to the community.
Okay, so there you'll see the 500 gram bar.
Very special.
Feel the weight. It's incredible.
This opportunity which presented itself is absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
We're privileged to have this.
This is just absolutely gorgeous, and I think this showcases really what the project is all about.
It's from 24 karat Namibian gold.
I'm looking at these rhinos is put there like Miss World photogenic, I would say.
There are only 1,000 of these gold bars, rhino gold bars, in circulation.
As far as I'm aware, it's the largest single donation of any corporate to the conservation of biodiversity anywhere in Africa.
Therefore, we so much appreciate and would want to continue as a government to work with B2 Gold.
And the fact that it's happening here in Namibia is something that we can all be extremely proud about and very grateful to B2 Gold.
Thanks to having this literal pot of gold through the funding for the Rhino Gold Bar, we're able to step in now and make sure that those trackers are supported, and so are their families and their communities.
We make sure that people sustain their jobs going forward, and who doesn't want gold?
And the B2 Gold Rhino Gold Bar has come in at a really critical time now, particularly with tourism being closed off and those forms of revenue not coming in.
To say we have the biggest rhino population or black rhino population in the world, let it be for the rest of our lives. And it's that heritage that we have, it's our resource that we can all look after and protect.
It's our heritage. And it's also good that other people like B2 Gold are also seeing it that way.
It's actually a very nice link between the investor that buys this gold bar, the rhino tracker in the northwest of Namibia, and the black rhinos. It's an intergenerational thing. The rhino trackers teach their children how to track rhinos, their children get taught, and so it flows down.
This is something that I want my children to have, and that we leave a little bit of a B2 Gold legacy. And if I can be part of that as part of my family, I'd be very proud.
It can also become an inheritance for the generations of my own clan. My children, my grandchildren,
if we can bring that passion over to future generations and to hand that over to my children. And I hope that that same passion for conservation gets migrated over to my kids.
And what we've done together is create a sustainable source of funding that should outlive all of us.
I think as far as Peter Gold is concerned, we couldn't have chosen a better target in which to put our efforts as far as the environmental and conservation pillar is concerned. And I want to stress there that the money that's going towards environment and conservation is actually going towards the people.
Rhino is for all of us, whether you are in Canada, whether you are in Vancouver, whether you are in the US. If you really want to see conservation at play with rural communities, I therefore humbly request each and everyone to join us on our Rhino tour and have a wonderful experience. This is what keeps rhinos on this planet.
I've done rhino trekking experience. It was just amazing walking in that landscape of the Kunene. And as we followed them, we could now find rhinos with the calf. We got the closest distance we could.
It's a warning sign.
And it was just amazing and lovely, something to experience that Namibia can offer. It's something that you have to do in your life.
Early this morning, woke up holding my head, hearing my heartbeat all night long. Shades of this motel keeping me in bed, reading the news, just trying to stay strong. I need to just get up, take a deep breath, keep it together, 'cause it